You're not just drowning in stuff, you're drowning in decisions. We live in homes filled with things, closets stuffed with clothes we don't wear, drawers jammed with cords we don't use, shelves lined with books we'll never read again. And we tell ourselves it's harmless, but deep down, it's exhausting. Because every item you keep, every random paper, stretched out t-shirt, broken charger, is a tiny, invisible decision you haven't made yet. And over time, those unmade decisions pile up. They drain your focus, your energy, your peace. Marie Kondo's book isn't just about cleaning. It's about taking back control. It's about replacing chaos with calm, about standing in a space that reflects you. Not your guilt, not your past, not your procrastination. And when you do that, something shifts. You begin to feel lighter, clearer, more capable. Because the truth is, when your environment is overwhelmed, your mind can't breathe either. This isn't about becoming a minimalist. It's about becoming intentional. And that one shift, choosing what stays and what goes, can change more than your home. It can change your life. Welcome to Summary Cortex, your home for powerful book summaries and life-changing ideas. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Tidying isn't about organizing, it's about letting go. Most people treat cleaning like a chore, something you do on weekends, something that's never really done. So we make to-do lists. We buy storage bins. We rearrange the clutter, but we don't get rid of it. Marie Kondo says, that's the problem. Her first lesson is simple but powerful. Tidying doesn't mean shifting things around. It means choosing what to keep and letting go of what no longer serves you. This shift in mindset changes everything. Because until now, most of us have focused on what we want to throw away. Kondo flips the question, what do I want to keep? And not based on logic, price, or guilt, but on one powerful feeling. Does this spark joy? It might sound abstract, but joy is actually a deeply practical filter. When you hold something in your hand, a shirt, a photo, an old mug, and ask, does this make me feel lighter, happier, peaceful? Your body knows the answer before your brain does. Let me share a real-life example. Amanda, a 35-year-old copywriter in Philadelphia, reached out after trying to declutter her apartment for the fourth time in 6 months. She had donation boxes stacked in the hallway, but nothing felt different. She was still overwhelmed, still unfocused, still stuck. We used Kondo's method, not room by room, but category by category, starting with clothes. She picked up each item and asked one thing. Does this bring me joy? Not, did I spend money on this? Not, could I wear this someday? Just joy. She let go of nearly 70% of her closet that weekend. But the most surprising part, she cried, not out of sadness, but relief. She said, for the first time, it felt like my stuff wasn't controlling me. That's what Kondo teaches. Tidying is not about being neat. It's about reclaiming space, physical, mental, emotional. And you start by asking a question no one ever taught you. What actually matters to me now? Kondo also emphasizes, don't tidy little by little. Do it once, thoroughly, and completely. She calls this a tidying festival, because when you do it all at once, intentionally, joyfully, you break the cycle of rebound clutter. This isn't a rule book, it's a transformation. Because when you start surrounding yourself with things you truly love, something clicks. Your space starts feeling like a sanctuary. Your mornings feel less rushed. You breathe differently. You think more clearly. And when you make peace with your environment, you begin making peace with yourself. That's the first step. Not organizing, not donating, not minimizing, but learning to choose joy, one object at a time. Chapter 2. The moment you start discarding, your life begins to shift. Once you understand that tidying is about choosing joy, the next step is action. And Kondo is clear. You must start by discarding, not organizing. Most people get this backwards. They rush to container stores, buy cute bins or label drawers, but never decide what's truly worth keeping. Kondo says, tidying begins with letting go. Here's a real-life example. Jacob, a 42-year-old middle school teacher in Colorado, was overwhelmed by decades of paper. Lesson plans, student notes, newsletters, mountains of it. He thought he needed a better filing system. But after reading Kondo's advice, he paused. He held each paper asking, "Is this meaningful or just familiar?" He discarded 80% and kept only what made him feel proud or inspired. The result? He reclaimed an entire room and felt emotionally lighter. Kondo's point: only when you discard first can you truly see what matters. Because tidying isn't about sorting your past. It's about choosing your future. Chapter 3. Tidy by category, not by location. Here's where most people go wrong. They tidy room by room. But Kondo insists, if you do that, clutter just relocates. Her method? Tidy by category, all your clothes, all your books, all your papers, in one go. Let me explain with someone who made this mistake. Rachel, a graphic designer in New York, kept cleaning her bedroom. It looked better for a week. Then clutter crept back. Why? Because the same category of items, like books and art supplies, were scattered across rooms. She was never dealing with the whole picture. Once she gathered all her books into one pile, over 300, she realized how many she kept just in case. She cut her collection in half. And for the first time, her bookshelf reflected who she was now, not who she used to be. Kondo's wisdom: when you gather a whole category together, you confront your habits, your story, and your identity, all at once. That's how real change happens. Chapter 4. Touch everything. That's how you learn what sparks joy. Kondo makes an unusual request. Pick up every single item with your hands. Why? Because thinking isn't enough. You have to feel your way to clarity. Let's talk about Malik, a software engineer in Seattle. Logical, minimalistic, data-driven. He didn't believe in sparking joy, but he gave it a shot. He started with his clothes. When he picked up a shirt he'd worn during a tough breakup, he suddenly felt tense. When he held a sweater from his sister, peace, warmth. That changed everything. He said, "I didn't know my clothes had memories, or that they were shaping my mood." That's why Kondo says, you can't tidy emotionally from a distance. You have to engage physically. It's not about touching for the sake of it. It's about reconnecting with your space, your story, and yourself. Chapter 5. Discarding isn't wasteful. It's an act of respect. A common fear people have is guilt. If I throw this away, I'm being wasteful. Kondo responds with grace. The purpose of an item is to serve you. If it's already done that, thank it and let it go. Real story. Linda, a retired nurse in Florida, had a closet full of clothes she hadn't worn in years, many with tags still on. She said, "I feel awful. I wasted money." But after reading Kondo, she held each item, said thank you, and released them. She told me, once I thanked them, it felt like closure. They had already served their purpose, even if that purpose was teaching me what not to buy again. Kondo's magic is this: letting go doesn't mean being careless. It means being conscious. You're not discarding the past, you're completing it. Chapter 6. Clutter is often a fear of the future, or an attachment to the past. Kondo uncovers something deeper here. Our clutter is emotional. We keep old clothes because we fear never finding something better. We keep unopened gifts because we feel obligated. We keep things we've outgrown because they remind us of who we used to be. Example: Paul, a newly divorced father in Chicago, couldn't let go of a box of his ex-wife's kitchen tools. He never used them, but they reminded him of family dinners and comfort. Eventually, he realized the tools weren't bringing him peace, just nostalgia. He let go, not just of the box, but of the belief that he had to stay stuck in that version of his life. Kondo teaches us, tidying forces you to face time, past, present, and future. And when you choose what belongs in your now, you start healing. Chapter 7. Start with clothes, because they're emotionally safer. Kondo's process begins with clothes, for a reason. Clothes are easier to judge. You know what fits, you know what you reach for, and they carry fewer emotional landmines than photos or letters. Let's talk about Danielle, a real estate agent in Atlanta. She tried to start decluttering with sentimental stuff, childhood drawings, old love notes. It was overwhelming. She got stuck. Then she started again, this time with her clothes. Easy decisions gave her momentum. She built confidence, and by the time she reached her memory box, she was ready. Kondo's lesson? Start with the easy wins. Let your muscle for letting go get stronger before you tackle the hard stuff. Small progress leads to big breakthroughs, and your closet is the perfect place to begin. Chapter 8. Storage isn't the answer, simplicity is. We live in a culture that sells storage solutions like happiness in a box. But Kondo is blunt. Storage often just hides clutter. It doesn't solve it. Here's proof. Kevin, a 29-year-old content creator in LA, spent $600 on a modular shelving system. It looked amazing. But within a month, the same chaos returned. Just organized chaos. Why? Because he hadn't discarded. He'd just rearranged. Once he followed Kondo's method, choosing only what sparked joy, he realized he didn't even need half the shelves. He returned them and turned that wall into a meditation space. Kondo teaches, don't organize what you don't need. Reduce first, then store simply. Because life isn't improved by better bins. It's improved by better boundaries. Chapter 9. Your home reflects your mind. Clear one, and you clear the other. This chapter cuts deep. Kondo says, your physical environment mirrors your internal state. A cluttered desk reflects a cluttered mind. A chaotic closet reflects emotional tension. A peaceful room reflects clarity and confidence. Let's look at Natalie, a corporate attorney in Washington, D.C. Her apartment was immaculate, but her kitchen drawer was a disaster, full of random batteries, receipts, expired coupons. She ignored it. Until one night, feeling overwhelmed at work, she opened the drawer and snapped. She said, "This drawer feels like my brain right now." She spent an hour cleaning it. When it was done, she cried. Not because of the drawer, but because she finally felt in control. Kondo is right. When we clear our physical space, we create mental space. Space to breathe, to choose, to rest, to think. That's the deeper magic of tidying. It's not just a room that changes, it's you. Chapter 10. Your ideal life starts with your ideal space. Marie Kondo makes a bold claim here. Tidying is not the goal, it's the gateway. Most people think they're cleaning up their home, but what they're really doing is confronting their vision for how they want to live. Let's look at Jasmine, a 41-year-old event coordinator in Dallas. She had a Pinterest board full of peaceful minimalist homes, but her real apartment was cluttered, loud, and chaotic. During her tidying process, she asked herself, what do I want my space to feel like? Her answer, like I can finally breathe. That one answer became her North Star. She let go of bulky furniture, harsh lighting, and anything that felt loud. Her apartment transformed. So did her evenings. Less screen time, more journaling, more peace. Kondo's method forces you to get clear. What does your ideal life look like? And what kind of environment supports it? You tidy better when you're not just reacting to mess, but creating a vision for something better. Chapter 11. The right order matters. Clothes first, memories last. Kondo outlines a strict order for tidying. Clothes, books, papers, miscellaneous, sentimental items. Why? Because your decision-making skills sharpen as you go. Let me share a real-life case. Eric, a logistics manager in Michigan, started by tackling his childhood photo albums. It was emotional. He got stuck for hours, paralyzed by nostalgia. He restarted, following Kondo's order. Clothes first, then books, then old documents. By the time he circled back to his photo albums, he had the mental clarity and emotional detachment to sort them with grace, not guilt. Kondo's principle, each category prepares you for the next. Don't jump ahead, because this isn't just cleaning, it's emotional training. Start with what's easy, end with what's sacred, and by then, you'll be strong enough to handle both. Chapter 12. Books are not just knowledge, they're identity. Books hold deep emotional weight, not because of what they say, but what they represent. Kondo's rule is simple. Only keep the ones that still move you. Let's talk about Victor, a former philosophy student turned real estate agent in San Francisco. He had 4 shelves of academic books, untouched for years, but he couldn't let them go. They represented a version of himself, thoughtful, idealistic, intellectual. But when he picked them up one by one and asked, "Do I want this to be part of my life now?" the answer was no. He kept 12 books. The rest he donated. And with that, he made peace with who he was becoming. Kondo's insight: letting go of a book isn't rejecting knowledge. It's releasing a past identity. You're not erasing your story. You're editing it with intention. Chapter 13. Paper clutter is just delayed decisions. We all have that drawer full of receipts, warranties, bills, junk mail. Kondo says paper should be dealt with immediately or discarded. Her golden rule: discard everything. Unless it's in one of 3 categories currently in use: needed for a limited time, must be kept forever. Here's a real-life example. Janet, a freelance copywriter in Boston, had 7 boxes of old documents in her closet. Tax returns from a decade ago, manuals for appliances she no longer owned, school records from the 90s. She spent one weekend applying Kondo's filter. She scanned what mattered, shredded what didn't. She said, "I felt like I deleted a version of myself that was living in the past and clogging up my now." Kondo's wisdom: paper is just clutter with anxiety attached. Face it once, set it free, and in doing so, you'll finally breathe in your own space. Chapter 14. The kimono phase, where most people fail. Kimono is Kondo's word for miscellaneous stuff: kitchen tools, electronics, cosmetics, hobby gear. It's tricky because it's so random and full of "maybe I'll use it someday" items. Let me show you how Emily, a nurse in Portland, handled it. Her bathroom was filled with half-used lotions, expired makeup, and 12 unopened shampoos. She used Kondo's question: does this spark joy? But more importantly, do I actually use this? She realized she was keeping things not because she loved them, but because she feared waste. She tossed what she didn't use, reorganized the rest. Her morning routine went from chaotic to calm, and her bathroom finally felt like a space that cared for her back. Kondo's lesson: be ruthless in kimono, because someday is usually never. Use it, love it, or let it go. Chapter 15. Letting go of gifts doesn't mean you're ungrateful. We all hold on to gifts out of guilt. What if they find out? But Kondo reframes this beautifully. The gift has already fulfilled its purpose. It brought joy when received. That's enough. Meet Jason, a college professor in Vermont. He had a shelf full of novelty mugs from co-workers and students. He never used them, but kept them out of politeness. One day, he donated all but 2. He said, "I realized I was honoring the people, not the mugs, and I didn't need the mugs to remember the kindness." Kondo teaches, respect the intention, not the object. Let the gift go, and keep the gratitude. That's the cleaner, freer way to honor people in your life. Chapter 16. Your joy is the only standard that matters. In the end, Kondo brings everything back to one idea. You are the only one who can define what joy means for you. What sparks joy for one person may look like clutter to another. That's okay. Let's close with Anita, a widow in Arizona. Her daughter pushed her to get rid of old junk, including a chipped teacup she'd kept for decades. But when Anita held it, she smiled. It reminded her of mornings with her late husband. She decided to keep it, not out of sadness, but joy. Kondo's final truth: your home should reflect what makes you feel alive, not what looks good on Instagram. Choose joy, not trends. Choose meaning, not approval. Because the life-changing magic isn't in the stuff. It's in the clarity you build, one choice at a time. Chapter 17. Letting go creates room for new opportunities. Marie Kondo makes a point that feels spiritual. When you release what no longer serves you, life gives you back something better. It's not superstition, it's energy. Take Marcus, a 39-year-old financial analyst in Denver. After finishing the tidying process, he finally let go of a set of high-end suits he hadn't worn in years. They were tied to a version of himself he no longer connected with, the one who wanted to climb the corporate ladder, impress others, win status. He said, "I held on to those suits thinking they represented success. But truthfully, they just reminded me of a life that burned me out." Weeks later, he was offered a consulting gig, part-time, fully remote, in a field he actually enjoyed, and he took it. Coincidence? Maybe. But sometimes, when your space becomes honest, your life does too. Kondo's message: letting go clears the path, physically and emotionally, for what's next. Chapter 18. Tidying teaches you how to decide. At its core, Kondo's method is about decision-making. Every object you touch demands a choice. Does this bring me joy? And with repetition, your ability to decide sharpens. Meet Valerie, a 27-year-old content marketer in Austin. She used to struggle with everything: picking outfits, planning weekends, ordering food. She'd agonize over every little decision. But after going through the KonMari method, something shifted. She said, "It was like mental clutter fell away. I started trusting my instincts more, not just with stuff, but with life." Kondo's real magic is this: tidying strengthens your decision-making muscles, and those muscles apply far beyond your home. When you practice choosing joy, consistently, clearly, you start living with more direction. Chapter 19. Once you feel what joy feels like, you can't unfeel it. There's a subtle transformation that happens once you tidy deeply. Your joy radar sharpens. You start noticing when something feels off: a toxic relationship, a draining job, even a cluttered calendar. Let's talk about Carlos, a 51-year-old chef in Miami. After he decluttered his home, he noticed something unexpected. He couldn't tolerate his stressful work environment anymore. He said, "It was like my home got peaceful, and my life outside felt 10 times louder." Within 3 months, he changed kitchens, same pay, better team, and he comes home happy now. Kondo's point is profound. Once you know what joy feels like in your space, you start demanding it in your life, and that's when the real shift happens. Not just cleaner closets, but cleaner choices. Chapter 20. Your environment shapes your identity. In the final chapter, Kondo leaves us with one truth: you don't just change your space, you change your self-perception. Because when you walk into a home filled only with things that bring you joy, you start seeing yourself differently. Let's end with one last story. Michelle, a recently divorced mom in Sacramento, did a full KonMari transformation over 3 weekends. She got rid of anything that reminded her of pain, failure, guilt. She filled her space with softness, candles, natural light, cozy blankets, fresh flowers. And she said something that stayed with me. "For the first time in years, my home tells the truth about who I am, not who I was." That's the life-changing magic. Because when you live in a space that reflects clarity, calm, and joy, you become someone who naturally seeks those things everywhere. Not because of the things you own, but because of the you that now owns them. If this book moved you, our next audiobook will go even deeper. The Leader in You by Dale Carnegie. Available in the end screen and description below. Thank you for listening to Summary Cortex.